right. We're getting everything up and running, guys. So we are live on Facebook, live on Instagram, still sending data to YouTube. Okay, we're starting to get some people jumping in. Andy Dansrow, how you doing? Over the Hill Hunter, Jim Zeltner, Ron Thomas, Jay Colley, how we doing? Kate Grant McCowan, Buddy 76, Western Contours, Miss Lena, how you doing? Love hunting elk, Ryan Clark. Okay, we're getting a few people jumping in. So sorry guys, I know typically we do that 7:30. But I'm still kind of wrapping up a couple of lessons, and so I had two tonight, getting some people kind of finished up. So little bit starter or later. Casey Gepford, how you doing, bud? YouTuber here. Good evening, John Jones. Good evening, Brian Draper, Mendenhall Farrier Services. Doing well. How are you? Could you tell us a little more about the Hoffman boots? Yeah, we can talk about those, Ryan. Jay Tappenden, Pat Jones, perfect timing. Fletching up my arrows right now. I like it. I like it. Mountain Hunter Box, let the party begin. Dude Fishing, good evening, everybody. Jim Hargrove. So tonight is going to be a little bit different. So, Jack, we are live. Yes, I know. And look, we have 2 weeks in a row where we actually have audio, which is good. So must have gotten everything taken care of. Nicholas Curry, good evening. Love your podcast. Thank you. Thank you. So Boyd3507 on Instagram. Welcome, everybody. So, all right. So let's jump into this. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Batiste from the Elk Calling Academy, and this is Wapiti Wednesday Q&A. If this is your first time joining us, Glenn Drexler, first time here, welcome, welcome. So if this is your first time joining us, the way Wapiti Wednesday works is we start with a topic. And tonight's topic, we're going to talk about alternative options to diaphragm reeds. So open reed cow calls, external reed bugles, and that kind of stuff. And then also as we go along, we have some questions that people have submitted today, and we will answer live questions as we go along. So it doesn't matter if you're joining us from Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Feel free to put your questions in, and I will do my best to answer all of the questions here during the live. Now also, if this is your first time or you're just enjoying the content, make sure that you like, subscribe, or follow whichever channel that you're on, and be sure to turn on notifications. So, all right, stumbled across the film The Push. Do you use any trad bows? Jim, actually, I started as a trad bow guy back in 84, 85, and I have seriously thought about going back to it. The simplicity of it, the challenge of it, it's just, I don't know, it's something that I've really been thinking about the last couple of years. So, but it's been a while since I've shot a trad. I mean, I'll play with it every once in a while. So, John Peterson, it's been a while since I've caught one of these. Welcome back. Jesse Morris, only a few weeks out. I know, we are coming fast. So, Hunt Ready Holsters, Hunter Scott. So, okay. Let's jump into it. So what kind of got me thinking about this was this past weekend I was down over in the Medford, Oregon area doing a seminar, and there was an individual there that is basically allergic to latex. Using a diaphragm reed is just out of the question. And it kind of got me thinking that, everything that we talk about lately is, or focus on, is diaphragm reeds. But I know there's people that can't use diaphragm reeds for either one, because of latex sensitivities, or two, just huge gag reflexes, or three, they're really new to using a diaphragm reed and they don't have the confidence to use it out in the field, so they just don't even try calling. So that's when I was like, let's talk about other options. First off, do you have to use a diaphragm reed to be successful in elk hunting? No, you don't. I have some friends that have are extremely successful elk hunters and have been successful elk hunting for years, and they've never used a diaphragm reed a day in their life. The nice thing that a diaphragm reed gives you is the hands-free option, but also the versatility to go from cow sounds right into bugles, and it's just convenience, I guess you would say. All right, shot trad bow from 97 to 18, killed my first elk 6x6 with a recurve. Nice. So, okay, so what options, are there? Let's kind of focus on cow sounds at first, and the first one I'm going to touch on is I think this is a call that really has, in my mind, the most realistic sound out there of any calls. It's also one of the easiest calls to use and probably one of the least inexpensive. And that is the Flexmark. I can't even remember the name of it. Anyways, sorry, Mark. So, but it's a call that's been around for a lot of years. It's a very simple bite down call. But the nice thing about this is, like I said, somebody could, you could get this call, and within a matter of minutes, you can be very efficient at cow sounds. And, the way these work is just your teeth basically operate, and then you can use your diaphragm to control the volume in the whines. But if you wanted to go hands-free. But very, very controllable, very easy to use. And like I said, to me, I think it's one of the most realistic sounds out there. I mean, if you really listen to videos of cow vocalizations, that thing right there is pretty dang close to natural sounds. Even though I love diaphragm reeds and I use diaphragm reeds heavily, I've kind of gone away from using external reeds. But earlier this year, I posted that video of the bull that I called in for Klein Low, where the bull rolls back down the hill. And you'll hear me on that video use a lot of external reed or open reed cow calls, or, external devices like that. And just the responses that I was hearing from the bulls. And I was like, God, why did I ever go away from using that? Why did I stop using it? And so this year, I'm going to be using the Flexmark and also a couple from Native by Carlton that we'll get into a lot more. But like I said, that Flexmark is really, I mean, guys, it doesn't seem like much. It seems like a kid's toy, but it is so realistic. And obviously the sound in here versus sound out in the mountains are two completely different things. You hear this thing outside and you'll be like, wow, especially at a distance. So, Andy, I love my Flextone Bite. Glenn Drexler, I've got 4 of the Flexmark. They're pretty good. I'm not really good with a diaphragm, in my opinion. And that's what's nice about these open reed options, is they give you the confidence to do elk sounds while you're learning a diaphragm. And honestly, sometimes the pitch and tone that you can get on some of these open reed cow calls or the Flexmark will help you tune your ears to match with the diaphragm. So, hello, my bugle and tree raking, boot stomping, elk hunting brother. Almost game time. How you doing, Elk Whisper? I know we are getting close. In fact, I have my last seminar this Friday, and then as soon as that seminar is done, I'm running up to the hills to check cameras. So, I know there's a lot of variables at play, but what is an average distance that elk will hear a cow call if there's not much wind or terrain in the way, etc.? You'll be amazed at how far you can hear that. I mean, you think about, if you've ever been sitting out there and you hear people walking and talking through the forest, and they may not be talking very loud, but you can hear them plain as day from 100 yards away, and you're like, holy cow, those guys are being loud. Now it LOL, Tracy wants it. Can you give us the website? Yeah, it's Flex Mark Game Calls. That's just the website. You can buy them as individuals, 3 packs, 5 packs. And in fact, I do have, I bought a 5 pack because I'm going to pass them out to all of my guys in my hunting camp. Mark is sending a few extras, so next week I might have a giveaway or two with a couple of those. So, but now, so you can hear people talking 100 yards away or a little more. Now, think about elk that hear a lot better than we can. You'll be amazed at how just a soft, subtle sound can carry. So for those of you interested, it's www.flexmarkcall, FLEXMARKELKCALL. So flexmarkelkcall.com. So go over there. Like I said, they're not that expensive. You can get them, like I said, singles, multiples, or whatever. So, but yeah, so really to answer your question, Jefferson, they can hear a lot farther than we can. You'll be amazed at how just a nice, soft, subtle can really carry out there. So, just recently ordered Love Hunting Elk. You're gonna love them. So, okay. So, other options out there. Then you have your open reed cow call styles. This is the green weenie. This is part of the custom line from Native by Carlton. Now, the thing about operating these is these are a lip pressure. And really the way to operate these effectively is you really want to pierce your lips hard together. But the one thing about these is they all have this band on them. And this is kind of a tuning band that you can change. And I don't think a lot of people realize this is a lot of people don't realize that you can change the tone on these. So especially on the green weenie has little notches where this goes in. Now, the thing that's cool about these two is you can go top lip or bottom lip. Everybody has a little bit more control. So, your last podcast, Western Contours, was lights out. A must listen for bow hunters, especially newer bow hunters. Thank you very much. So, Glenn Drexler, I just got the Temptress from Rocky Mountain and love it. The fact that you can use it as it is, cover the 2 holes with your fingers, and it's totally different sound. So, yeah, Rocky Mountain, there's a couple that I like. They're Trophy Wife. I really like the tone on that one too. But so, like I said, top lip or bottom lip. Or bottom lip. So just play with that. The main thing is if you're not getting that high pitch, you're not piercing your lips tight enough together. Now, like I said, if I take this and I just roll it forward 1 notch, notice how it changes that pitch. It changes that tone a little bit. So that's another versatile tool there, because a lot of times you'll hear, the problem with open reed cow calls is you can't be versatile on them. You can't change your pitch. You can't change your tone. I just showed you right there, just by changing that band, that you can do it. Same thing on this one here. Now, if I take that band and just roll it over 1 notch, so it just changes that pitch and tone just a little bit. Now, the other cool thing about this, and what you can use, you can set this band so that it's a lip positioner. So it's almost a guide. You get it to a tone that you like, then all you have to do each time is just bump your lips up against that each and every time, and you're in that same place to replicate and do that sound over and over and over again. So let's see, fantastic. So okay, now there are other cow calls out there. There's kind of bite and blow styles too, that you have, two plastic pieces with the reed in the middle, and you basically bite down with your teeth. Those, I think those are a little too sharp, in my opinion. But for somebody just starting out, they are, I'm not going to say foolproof, but they are really, really easy. I would steer you more towards like the Flex Mark and an open reed cow call. You're not talking a lot of money on those, but it does give you a little bit of versatility. So let's see, 20 days and a wake up, 2 states, 3 weeks, I'm out of here. Nice. Good luck, John Jones. What I love about the Temptress is you put your lips on the plastic, no runner band. So yeah, the Temptress has basically kind of a rubber nipple on it. And for those of you that do have that allergy to latex, you don't have to worry about open reed cow calls because there is no latex on these. The reeds themselves are actually a mylar reed. On the Flex Mark, it's a rubber. The Temptress, has a rubber piece. The two that I really like from Rocky Mountain, since people are talking about Rocky Mountain, are the Trophy Wife and the Matriarch. I like the subtleness and the tones on those and how you can run those. So Ron Thomas, my buddy, used a Flex Mark call last year, sounded great. My other buddy used it to stop deer. Michael Hamilton, dang nabbit, I'm late to the party. You might be late, but you're also here. So reed call Voodoo by Rocky Mountain. What call is that you're using right now? So Glenn, this is the Green Weenie from Native by Carlton, and then this one is the Flex Mark cow call. So those are the two that we've talked about. The other one that I kind of blew on this is the Native by Carlton. This is the short bell that's in their custom line. So good evening. Can you talk about what you would want to change, or why you would want to change the pitch? What factors contribute to that decision? So Jesse, great question. So basically the reason you want to change your pitch is almost like when you go fishing. Okay, you're sitting there, you're spinning you're flipping a rooster tail, you're not getting any bites. So you take that one off and you put a different color on. Well, by changing on this open reed cow call, since it changes the pitch, since it changes the frequency a little bit, it just may change enough that pitch frequency is what then elicits a response. So it's almost like by changing that pitch, it's almost like swapping out to a different diaphragm reed. Maybe you're using one that has a mid kind of range and you switch to one that has a higher range. It's just something to try to elicit a little bit of response from. So Mike Boyd, love my pack. Thanks again, Michael. You are very welcome, bud. I thought that was great that I had the ability to hand deliver that to you last week. So wish I could have made it to Medford, Oregon, but 2 weeks away from first archery elk hunt. So it's okay. If you missed Medford, we had a great time, but we are already planning next year, and it's going to kind of be a little bit bigger and just kind of grow off what we did this year. But thank you to all of you that showed up this weekend. I had a blast over there. I have the Ed Skeery bite down calls. They don't sound very good in my opinion. You got to understand though, Glenn, sometimes what we think doesn't sound good is really what sometimes will get a response from a bull. I've played around with the Skeery, and those are the bite down that I talked about. Like I said, they usually are a little more aggressive, I guess is the best way to describe it. That's kind of why I like, these styles a little bit better, because you have that ability that you can add emotion, you can add excitement if you want to, but you can also back it off and just be nice and controlled on it. So Michael Hamilton, I can't put a green weenie in my mouth. But Michael, if that green weenie called in multiple bulls, would you use the green weenie at that time? So Don Binder, I love my Flex Mark. I also use reeds. Yes, and for those of you that do use diaphragm reeds, these are just an addition that you can add as a different pitch, just something to change it up. John Peterson, any suggestions for a bugle tube that doesn't require a diaphragm? Great question, because that is where we are going in next. So that just kind of gives you guys some options or alternatives on the cow side. Now, how about bugling? You can certainly do the same thing there. So this one right here, this is a power bugle mouthpiece that I put into a Dominator tube, just something to help kind of expand the sound a little bit. There's options out there. If you can't use a diaphragm reed but you want a bugle, the power bugle is a great option. Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls has their Conqueror mouthpiece. Now, for those of you guys that have that latex allergy, I'm going to suggest the Selectable from Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, because this actually comes with a green false tongue that is rubber. So you don't have to worry about or you don't have to worry about the latex touching any part, because with that rubber it just turns it into a bite down style. So now the other thing is I get asked a lot, well, can you still produce the sounds on external reed bugles? Yeah, you can. I mean, and again, like the power bugle, you have the ability, bottom lip, top lip. Another good option is the Berry Thunder Bugle. But again, the Berry Thunder Bugle, that's going to have a latex. So if you have allergy to latex, get the Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, the Selectable. For those of you that don't, the Berry is kind of cool, because what Glenn did is on his, it actually comes with different reeds, so you can change the voice on that power bugle or thunder bugle. It kind of gives you different voices. I have a buddy that uses the Berry in Montana, and that dude has killed some monster bulls just by using that. But I mean, location, so can most certainly locate. We've talked about the huffs, grunts, and whines. So you can still, I like the Conqueror mouthpiece from Rocky Mountain, just because I take the green false tongue off and I run it with my lip. I think, especially on the growls, so you can get some good sounds on it. It's easy to operate. It's easy to control. Love hunting elk. Opinion on the elk reel calls. They're okay. For me, they're too bulky. But I know some people really, really like it because of the simplicity. It is very easy to operate. You're going to produce the same sounds that you can with the Flexmark. In my opinion, I personally have more control with the Flexmark than I do the other one, and it's also smaller. So that's just my opinion. You may be a little bit different. You may like the elk reel over the Flexmark. You'll just have to play with both of them to see. Plan one for Wisconsin and come some of our elk. Oregon's a bit far. I have never done a seminar in Wisconsin, so that would be kind of cool to do that. So let's see. Calling elk is like calling turkeys. One call may fire them up, another call gets no response. Exactly. So if given a choice, would elk leave a feeding area uphill or downhill to go to bed in the morning? So Dave, they're typically going to move up to their bedding. Now that is going to vary from area to area to area. Some places they will just work out onto open faces or open ridges to feed. But remember, they always move with the wind in their nose. So, and in the mornings, those thermals are basically going down. So, Why does it sound like that bull hasn't reached puberty yet? Yeah, that is one thing, and also on that power bugle mouthpiece, it does come with different bands. It comes with gray bands, white bands. They have different pitches on it, so you can basically kind of change that. So, what about the Terminator? The Terminator, yes, that's another option for those of you that have that allergy to latex because it's a silicone on the blue snap-on reed. And I know a lot of people knock the Terminator, but it's one of those things that if you put the practice in and you spend time on it, you can become efficient and you can make all the sounds on that. And I know the Terminator gets a bad rap, but that bugle has called in a ton of bulls over the years throughout multiple different states. So, but it's just like anything else. You have to take the time to become proficient at it so that way you can basically make those different sounds. So, Jesse, that answers your question too about another latex-free bugle. So, Danny never, ever, ever used the Terminator. Why? I called in a ton of bulls with a Terminator early on. So just because you don't like it or you don't want to use it, there are people out there that don't have the option. And Danny, I bet you, I've got a buddy that's all he uses is the Terminator. And I bet if we were out on the mountains and I had him bugling, you wouldn't be able to know. Yes, most people sound fluty and they have that same 3-note range on it and it doesn't change. But those people that really take the time to learn on it, in fact, you want to listen to somebody who's really good on it, go listen to Ralph Ramos. Ralph Ramos is really good on that Terminator. Okay, what other options are there for external reed bugles? So Abe and Sons has one that you have a piece of latex and a couple of rubber bands that you stretch. Again, you run it with your bottom lip. It does have good sounds. And then another one is Deep Timber Sounds. Dan Clower. The Deep Timber Sounds, it has a larger learning curve out of all of them, but the one thing is, though, you can really produce some amazing sounds with the Deep Timber Sounds, bugle. He has two different sizes on it, a larger mouthpiece and a smaller. Get the smaller mouthpiece. It's easier to learn on, and just basically go with that. So, have you heard of the Mac Daddy? Yes, I have, and I have the Mac Daddy. The hard part with the Mac Daddy is, and you can still pick some up, HS, and the Mac Daddy is another one for those of you that have a latex intolerance. The Mac Daddy is basically a push button. You can produce some really good sounds with that, but HS is not making the replacement reeds on it anymore. But here's a little tip. If some of you have the Mac Daddy and you want a replacement reed, just go to your local store and buy any of the HS diaphragm reeds and take the tape off. It's the same exact frame. Then you have the option that you can go single, double, or triple. And in fact, I have one that I put a double in, and it basically sounds really decent. So I'm going to use it as a location bugle this year. So I can tell that sound on the mountain, that call. Okay. We will agree to disagree on that one, Danny. I know you are staunch against the Terminator. So, checked trail cams last week with my 4-year-old boy and got in a 20-minute barking match with a bull on our way out. He looped around where we were standing. Curiosity will kill the cat this year. I like it. So, I heard a guy talking to Mr. Carlton talking about how you should sound like a younger bull because no good-sized bull would want to fight the biggest bull. What's your thought about that? No, and exactly right. And Wayne and I talked about that when we were doing our seminar together in Wyoming. You don't want to sound like the biggest, baddest bull. And in fact, what you want to do is match the intensity of the bull that you're calling to or slightly below. You don't want to go above. But you also don't want to sound too small. So you want to sound large enough that he basically feels like you are a formidable adversary, but you don't want to intimidate them and run them off. So I guess if it calls in elk, what does it matter? I see your point. There you go. Last year here in Arizona, I called in many bulls with the Terminator. So let's see. Slightly off topic, but have you tried the Renegade tube from Phelps? It's about half the size of my other one, which I thought was pretty cool. Yes, I have. And the Renegade does have some good sound to it. In fact, Bryce, my hunting partner, he loves the Renegade. That's all he uses. So he just, yeah, it's a good tube. So let's see. Do you use the timid bugle as a tactic? No. Well, sometimes it depends what I'm calling to. For those of you guys that are Patreon members or members there at elkcallingacademy.com, you guys kind of know within that breeding sequence how I tailor that sequence, whether it's a timid bull or an aggressive bull or so. Yes, if Jeremy, if I'm calling to a timid bull, I'm not going to get aggressive. So there's things that I'm going to do to kind of match him and give him kind of a false sense of hope, and to where he kind of feels like, oh, hey, I got a shot here. So October 11th through 14th, rifle hunt in Colorado. Will calling and night bugling still be viable options during this time of year of the post-rut? Absolutely, because you still have rut activity going on that time of year. You still have cows that are coming into cycle, late, or it was cows that didn't get bred the first time and they're coming back in again. So absolutely, calling is still effective. Just know that you're rifle hunting and just be safe about it. So, all right, I want to jump over to Facebook because we had, let me check Instagram real quick. Okay, no questions from today, but we had some on Facebook. So, okay, so Sean Keller, he's one of the ones that's in here tonight. He's one of those ones that I was talking about. Open reed cow calls and external reed bugles for 30 years, and Sean has called in some tremendous bull and definitely been, very successful with it. So. Berry Thunder bugle. So, okay, Jim Hargrove, how do you tone down your bugle volume? I have the Berry Thunder bugle and we'll be hunting this year in a drop camp. Reports are the wolves. So, okay, so to tone down your bugle is basically, you got to understand that with those external reed bugles and even with the diaphragm reed, that air pressure that you're putting with your diaphragm, that force, so that's what can really, if I push a lot of air, more volume, less volume is really going to tone that down. So it's something that you will have to work on. Same thing with bugling. If I push a lot of air, going to get a louder bugle. But if I back off that pressure with the diaphragm, it brings that volume down. So that's basically what I'm talking about toning down, your bugle and bringing that volume down. It's that air pressure that you're putting out. So, and it's just one of those things that you have to practice. You can do the same thing on external reeds, bugles. Just don't force as much air with your diaphragm, because you're still tightening your ab muscles, tightening your rib muscles on that diaphragm to force that air out when you're using these external reed bugles. And same thing with the cow calls too. If I force a lot of air out, loud. If I go soft with the air pressure, softens it up. So your pressure on your diaphragm and the amount of air you're forcing out with externals is your volume control. So Matt Flowers, my 9-year-old boy will be joining me this September. That's awesome. What are some things, calls he can use to be involved in calling? Matt, Flexmark. Flexmark is going to be ideal for him. It's going to be very easy. It's something that he can pick up quickly, and he can gain a lot of confidence really fast with it. So, okay, back to the questions. Maybe a bit off topic, but is it possible to make a calf call with something other than a mouth reed? Yeah. Take your external. Just shorter burst of air. So remember, the amount of air is going to control the length of it. It's going to control whether you're doing a cow mew or a calf chirp. Again, that air pressure and everything that you're doing is not only controlling volume, but how much you put out, whether you're shh or shh, shh. We'll kind of change it from a cow to a calf. Can you have a time of day you prefer to visit wallows early in the season? Usually a lot of times with wallows, I will hit wallows kind of around the bedding area, and I'll kind of be hanging out with those kind of in that midday time is generally when I really like to visit wallows. So, Danny, I was late, so I assume you went over the bugling bull call with the green mouthpiece you bite down on. I really like it. Yeah, I did. And Danny, here's the thing with the Conqueror mouthpiece, guys. Like I said, this normally comes with that green false tongue that is a bite down style, or you can take that off. And the cool thing about this mouthpiece is you can either run it with your bottom lip or you can run it with your tongue. So you have the option of the green false tongue, your lip, or your actual tongue on that latex to operate it different ways. So MM88, does your family ever get tired of you elk calling inside? Both my wife and dog start going nuts after a while. I usually get kicked out. They will make comments about it, but they also know that this is who I am. This is what I do. So, and I try to be not nonstop all the time with it. But yeah, sometimes I can tell that they're a little fed up with it. So, at what point in your setup do you throw a lip ball out, and how often? So, Jay, a lot of times, I mean, there's a lot of factors in there. Is the bull lip balling to me first? How close is he? I mean, if there's a bull 400 yards out that's lip balling, I'm probably not going to lip ball to him because I'm not really in that defensive mode. Because really a lip ball is, it's a dominance call. It's something that's telling cows, come to me, I'm a dominant bull, but yet it's telling other bulls, stay away, I'm a dominant bull. So usually I will kind of save that until I'm closer quarters to a bull and I'm more in a defensive nature than in a bull tending his cow, just doing our thing type. So Oldenburg Tom, hello, how you doing? Sorry, I had to look kind of closely at that. So, who makes that bugle tube that you were talking about with the tongue piece? That is Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, and the bugle is the selectable, is what they have. And funny story, that call was produced in a hotel room. Rocky and I had just gotten done with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation elk camp there in Las Vegas, and the following week was the Western Hunting Conservation Expo there in Salt Lake. So we drove from Las Vegas up to Salt Lake, had a little bit of time to kill, so just kind of got some pieces and parts and kind of put that together in the hotel room. And then the hotel we were staying at right downtown Salt Lake has a 2-story parking garage, and we got up on that parking garage and started blowing on that selectable, in downtown Salt Lake. I'm sure people were walking down the sidewalk trying to figure out what the heck was going on, but we would get on opposite sides, opposite corners, and one of us would call on it and the other would listen, and then we'd meet in the middle, and then we'd change it up, and then the other one would call on it just to kind of sound. But no, the selectable, and the cool thing about the selectable too is as your as you progress using a diaphragm reed, you can actually pop that mouthpiece out, and then you have a nice flexible grunt tube to use with that selectable with your diaphragm reed. So, Heather, 21 days. I know it's coming fast. So, Chase, would you recommend that as a good beginner call? Absolutely. Any of the open reed bugles, the Power Bugle, the Rocky Mountain, the selectable from Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, I tend to steer more people towards the selectable just because of the range that you can get on it. You can go from your deep ends to your high notes pretty dang easily. And with that green false tongue, it is one of those things that doesn't take much practice to get used to. You can get pretty efficient at it pretty dang quick. And then you can start playing with, bending that green tab down and using your bottom lip on it, or laying your tongue flat on it and working on that tongue pressure, which is going to help you with the diaphragm reed. So, offer the wife $10 for every good sounding call she makes. She will get a different opinion. I like that. Danny, by the way, my Verdicts is amazing. Can't wait to let the air out of an elk. The Verdicts in the Traverse, I'm really impressed with what Matthews did this year. So, what is your recommendation for an external reed call to purchase for calf calls for mature cows? Again, this flex mark, guys, like I said, you can go deeper, older, or younger just by putting more pressure with the teeth. You can do the same thing like on the green weenie. You're just going to control the amount of pressure that you put with your lips. So the more pressure you put, the higher pitch, the younger the cow. So, Justin, good versatile. Green weenie or the flex mark are the two that I really like that are in my hip pouch on my pack. So, self-employed with a 40 by 80 taxidermy studio. As soon as employees clock out, I lock the doors and fire up the calls nonstop while I work. I like it. So, do you have classes, videos on calling with latex-free calls by any chance, or be willing to do a paid coaching or video? I have been struggling making quality bugles with these calls. So, Jesse, that actually is part of the website and the new e-course that I'm building. So, once that is up and running with the e-course, it's going to have the full tutorials on cow vocalizations, bull vocalizations, what they mean, and I'm going to teach how to do them on a diaphragm reed, and I'm going to teach how to do them on an external reed cow or open reed cow call or external reed bugle. So the new e-course, once that's up and running, it's not going to be before season, but yes, the new e-course will cover both those. And also too, we will do some stuff out in the field this fall, that I am going to be using some externals this year in the mix and kind of doing some tips in the field. So we do have all of that coming up, Jesse. So Matt Jones, I picked up the new SR6 last Wednesday. I just seem to like it more than the Matthews. I know you picked the Prime over the SR6, but I'll let it go because you're a nice guy. Matt, it's personal preference. We all feel differently on the handle and on the draw cycle, and we all like something different. I mean, they're all good bows. And honestly, for somebody to just go in and choose one bow without shooting all of them, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Pretty much recommendation that I give to people is when you're in the market for a new bow, kind of pick your price point, and then go in and shoot every bow in that price point and let the bow choose you. You're actually going to be a lot more effective. You're gonna enjoy it a lot more. And that's really the best way to go. So, love hunting elk. I'm in for your e-course. So, perfect. So, all right, guys, we have about 15 minutes. Let me double check, see if we've hit all the questions. If you do have any questions on the live feed, make sure kind of get those in right now. Also, upcoming events this Friday at Archery Central in Nampa, Idaho. Doing last seminar of the year there. Last one is right here in the Boise area in the valley. We will get going around 6. Might be a little bit after 6 just to let everybody kind of make it there. I know with getting off work and then trying to get out there and stuff, but that is the last seminar from the year. And then after that, it's kind of focused this weekend, heading back up again to check trail cameras. Gonna do a couple of tips in the field videos. It's gonna be a mix. There might be one for the YouTube channel, but a couple of the other ones that I'm doing are gonna be for the Patreon page. If you are new and don't know about the Patreon page, it's simply elkcallingacademy.com. It is $15 a month. We have the full-blown tutorials on there about the sounds, e-scouting. Every 2 weeks. In fact, tomorrow night is the next live Q&A for the Patreon members, and we have some really good questions. I'm kind of excited for this one tomorrow night. So, okay, looks like we hit all the questions on Facebook also. So let's jump back here. As long as you get out and have fun, the equipment doesn't matter. Excellent bow advice. Mount Emily, Oregon, here we come. Oh, I miss Mount Emily. I used to have a lot of fun hunting that. So, cow bite call recommendations. So, so the bite and blow style, I prefer the flex mark, open reed cow calls. Depending on your budget, the green weenie, the mini mouth is another favorite of mine from Native by Carlton. The mini mouth is basically kind of the new generation of the old fighting cow call. Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls has 2 that I like. The Trophy Wife and the Matriarch are 2 that I really like. The Matriarch is a wood barrel, has some really good natural sounds to it. So Victor Sanchez, you need to talk about broadheads. So the thing with broadheads is that's kind of a personal deal. I mean, do you shoot a 2-blade? Do you shoot a 3-blade? Do you shoot a 4-blade? I've shot 3 blades for the last few years. This year I'm kind of going back. We're testing a few broadheads this year in our group. Let's see, Bryce is shooting the Silver Flame 100 grain 2-blade from Grizzly Stick. Brandon's shooting the 100 grain Redline from Grizzly Stick. Eric is shooting the 125 grain Maasai from Grizzly Stick. I'm shooting the Evo X from Day 6. I think one of the other guys is shooting the QAD Exodus, which is the head that I've shot for the last couple of years. The Exodus has performed well. The Shuttle T's have performed well. I mean, really, if you can get a few different ones and test them with your setup and find which one flies the best for you. I know when I was in Wyoming a couple of weeks ago, I was doing some testing at 70 yards, shooting 2.5-inch dots at 70 yards. And that 125 grain Maasai and the Evo X were just drilling those dots consistently with great flight. The reason I kind of went the Evo X route is because it does have bleeder blades, so it's a 2-blade with bleeder blades. So Victor, I'm not one that's going to tell you have to shoot this head. I'll give you some of my favorites. Evo X, QAD Exodus, if you want to shoot a 3-blade, that QAD Exodus, I've had really good luck with it, or just a couple. As far as the ones we're testing this year, I'm going to kind of hold judgment on some of those until we actually see what they do on animals and all that kind of stuff. And then probably after season, I'll do a follow-up with the heads that we're testing and kind of provide more information. So, Can you talk about a scenario when it's quiet out, you throw a bugle, get a mild bugle response, then you respond and don't hear a thing? What do you do? Well, so what type of bugle response, what type of bugle did you throw back? Were you aggressive? Were you, what time of day is it? The bugle that he gave back to your bugle, was it kind of a betting bugle that he was just kind of advertising his location, or was it timid? Because basically, if you threw a bugle and he gave you a timid response and you throw another bugle, basically there's a chance that you were dealing with a younger bull and you intimidated him. So, that's where one of those things that if you throw a bugle and get a timid response, throw out a couple of cow sounds. Because those couple of cow sounds, then you may all of a sudden get an excited response. And then that bull right there basically just told you what he's looking for and what he wants to hear. So, Tony Boyd, well worth the $15, talking about the elkcallingacademy.com. I appreciate that. So, good luck on trail cameras, Michael. I'm heading out this Saturday into Idaho's backcountry to check mine. Good luck to you as well. So, I like the shirt. Where can I order one? So this is the new shirts that we're slowly bringing in as we kind of get out of the other one that just had the big ECA. Right now on this, I only have a few larges and a few double XLs in stock. If you do want one of these, just message me on Facebook and or send me an email. It's michael@elkcallingacademy.com, and I can just send you an invoice and we can get your address and ship one out to you. So bugle me this. Great e-scouting info on Patreon, which I will be putting to use this weekend on my first elk scouting trip now that I've escaped the Texas heat and found heaven in Utah. Good luck. So, Matt Jones, how heavy of an arrow do you like to run, and at what speed do you look for out of your bow? So, with my arrows, I like to be kind of in that 470 to 500 range. My speed is, I like to keep my speed somewhere in that 265 to 280 feet per second range. For me, I've just found that, that weight, that speed out of a 70-pound bow, the kinetic energy is good, the momentum is good. Flight of the arrow with broadheads is really, really good. So that's typically kind of the range that I stay at, that 475 to 500 range on weight, and my speed 265 to 280, kind of in that range. So that's kind of the parameters that have worked really, really well for me over the years. So John Jones, I'll be looking up the Flexmark tonight. Perfect. So are you hunting open sight this season? How is that coming? Yes, still no peep sight on the bow. For those of you that are new or kind of haven't heard, I've been testing for the last couple of months. I pulled my peep sight out of my string and I am shooting my bow without a peep sight. I do have a video on YouTube that explains how I set up my bow for it. I mean, the confidence, Danny, in the shooting without a peep sight is just tremendous. I probably will never go back to a peep sight again. So, Jesse, the elk reel non-diaphragm is another great cow call made here in Colorado. I killed my first elk with a bow last year using it. Called her back in 7 times. No, the elk reel it's not a bad call. For me personally, I just don't like it because of the size. So, leave for Idaho in 5 weeks tomorrow for my 16-day hunt with my buddy from PA and Mass. Glenn, good luck to you guys. Safe travels. If you ever get to Wisconsin, check out being a celebrity speaker at Bowfest. Half the Outdoor Channel celebrities show up. Next year, music headliners are Ted Nugent and Charlie Daniels. Uh-oh, you got me on Charlie Daniels there. All right. I might have to check out Bowfest. So, pulled my peep to running a peep eliminator. Yeah, and there are sites that you can use that will help you. IQ Bow Sites makes one. Perry's No Peep is another option. I shoot a single pin, and kind of the setup that I've kind of put together. The one change I am going to make on the new bow is instead of tying, taking serving material, and instead of tying the kisser, I'm just going to put an actual kisser button on it. I don't know if I'm going to do the nose button again. I don't know. We'll just kind of play with it and see how it goes. So, Ty, can you tell me your experience when being seen by a bull versus being smelled? We have called back multiple bulls when being seen, but have not when we are smelled. Have you experienced the same? Yeah, because a lot of times when a bull spooks because sees you or this or that, there are a lot of times that he didn't fully see you. He's not sure, what it was. Just something was not right and spooked and went away, and you can most certainly call them back. But a lot of times, once a bull smells you, you're going to have to let him kind of forget about all that. Um, you may be able to kind of dog him and call him back in later that day. But most of the time, when we've been smelled, we'll just kind of back out of that area and come back in a couple of days later, and then it's like we were never there and that bull never smelled us. So you most certainly can call them back in. You just got to give them a little bit of time. So best of luck throwing arrows this year. Season is sneaking up. I'm going to put the new verdicts to the test. Nice. I know, guys, we are getting so close. And in fact, next week or this weekend is kind of the last scouting trip to swap out cards on the cameras. We'll go back up the 23rd, 24th, 25th and kind of set camp. And then we'll be back up on Thursday the 29th to hit it for the opener on the 30th. So, all right, guys, we only have a couple of minutes left. Last opportunity for questions. Hopefully that answered some of your questions about alternative options to, diaphragm reeds. There are, a lot of options out there. You can be just as successful. You can produce the elk vocalizations. It's just like anything, you have to put your time in practicing. The more you practice, the better you're gonna be. So, love the Magnus Black Hornet 4-blade Sir Razor. They are awesome, made in the USA and lifetime guarantee. Shoot them into a brick wall and they send you a new one. Yeah, Glenn, I've got buddies that use Magnus and they've had great luck with it. I didn't have the best luck on flight. There was just some things that they just didn't work well for me. So, but if they're working great for you, then basically that is what's important. So, Danny, did you do the grunt tube test again this year? No, I didn't. I do have a couple of tubes in. There's still a couple more that I'm waiting on. That's why I haven't done it. Don't know if I'm going to do it this year. May wait and just do it kind of next year. So, Pack 'em Out Apparel, same time next week, Michael. Yeah, it'll probably be 7:30, 7:45. It depends, what I have going before it. I'm kind of wrapping lessons down. I haven't brought in. I know some of you have kind of messaged me about getting lessons. I'm kind of just wrapping up with what I already have scheduled with everything else I have kind of going on in the personal life. There's just kind of some things that I'm needing to focus on right now. So that's why I've kind of backed off on lessons here this year. So great info. Your videos have really helped me advance my calling. Good luck this year. Mason, you bet. Thank you for tuning in. That's awesome that they've helped you advance. I can't wait to hear, stories. So, all right, guys, it has started. So we're going to wrap this up. Thanks, Michael. Good night. Tony, good night. Same elk time, same elk channel next week. Yes, we will be here again next week. So, do many people successfully harvest big bulls without using bugle tubes? They could. There's some people that just focus on cow sounds only and use open reeds, and they most certainly are successful. So, all right, guys, that countdown's getting close and close. So thank you to all of you for tuning in tonight. Thanks again for interacting. Thank you for the questions. As always, keep calling, keep practicing. Most importantly, though, have fun while you guys are doing it. We will see you all next week on the next episode of Wapiti Wednesday Q&A, brought to you by Elk Calling Academy. Have a great week, everybody.